Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan and Friends. Here's your host, Russ McClellan.
Hey, welcome to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan and Friends. Thanks for tuning in this July 2021. How's everybody doing in the transitional, perhaps, post-land of COVID? Man, went through an interesting year. That was unprecedented. So it's one of those situations when you're looking around for your mentors, you don't have any, at least not directly related to a world pandemic, because it's never happened, at least hasn't happened since probably 1918, something like that. And there's a lot of changes. And today I've got a good friend of mine on the show, Fletcher Ellingson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
For people that don't know Fletcher, you should go to his website, thepracticeoffeelinggood.com. Fletcher, why don't we start and assume that nobody knows who you are, which I know is a false narrative because you're extremely well known. You have clients all over the country. But for those who are just hearing it for the first time, what is it that you do for a living anyway, my man?
I help people move forward powerfully when they find themselves plateaued or stuck. For instance, I help entrepreneurs, which are kind of my favorite type of client. And I just help them move from financial uncertainty to financial predictability, from overwhelm to clarity, and from worry to confidence, so they can really get back to what they love doing, which is contribute to their families and communities.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed, I've been intimately coaching with you for, 8+ months. And I personally can say that I've had a lot of different coaches, sports and my mind, and in business. And you've definitely made a major impact in how I feel. And I think
Excellent.
So often how you feel determines how you do.
Oh boy, you totally nailed it. Yeah, how we feel is a definite predictor of our next immediate outcome, because it is our ways of feeling and being that give us access to our actions. So you nailed it.
Yeah, so I thought we'd just kind of start. Right now, I think there's still a lot of people that are pretty unhappy. Maybe not unhappy is the right word, but they're nervous. They're worried. There's many people that haven't been making their rent payments for over a year because there's a moratorium on eviction. They were allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Many people that were not making their mortgage payments because they were in forbearance. And the federal government basically had stepped in response to the world pandemic and said, all right, it's no longer legal to foreclose on people if they're in forbearance. And it lasted and lasted and lasted and lasted. Now here we sit over a year later, and the government is now talking about, re-engaging the ability of owners to evict tenants and the ability of lenders, bankers, mortgage companies to foreclose and on people that aren't willing to make the payments. And I see just a lot of uncertainty around that. And, not just that, we've heard a lot about the traumatic, emotional, the emotional impact that isolationism has created in our youth. And I see it in the real estate company. I see people that are acting in ways that after my 3 decades in the business, I have not seen before. Almost like everybody is manifesting their stress through different means. So it's kind of hard to predict what's really going on with people, but I feel like there's something going on with most people more than normal. And even in the normal times, there's a lot of chaos in our life, and we often have struggles mentally, financially, you name it. So maybe we just start there and tell me what you think is happening on the broad brush, and then let's kind of drill down in these 3 segments to see if we can help some people.
Yeah, great place to start. And I agree. I feel like now more than ever, people are experiencing a high level of uncertainty, and they are scrambling for control because they feel out of control. And so one of the things that I help my clients do is surrender the need for control and learn how to trust that life is working out for them. Now, this might sound like, like it just doesn't carry any weight or significance to somebody who is facing eviction. But I'm telling you, and you know this about me, I've been broke, right? Broke, creditors calling. And I want people to know that life is going to work out for them. It always works out. It always has, always is, and it will. And when we begin to shift our psychology from fear to trust, it allows us access to take different actions. And so the first thing we got to realize is we are incredibly resourceful, capable, and flexible. Everything that we have, everything that we need, I should say, is within us right now. If we're resourceful, we have everything we need. And so the first thing I want to encourage people to do is to make a powerful decision. And the decision is that I'm going to get through this, that life is working out, that I do have what it takes. And if you can make those powerful decisions, then you've just impacted the trajectory of your next immediate outcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We've all faced adversity. I've been broke more than once. I actually had a car repossessed at a city park with my kids driving it. That was fun. Yeah, no embarrassment there. No problem. I mean, but we survived, right? I mean,
yes,
look, the Great Recession was a fascinating thing. No matter what, if you're still breathing, if you're still getting up out of bed, then you obviously have survived some very difficult days. And I think there is some. We often forget that there's a reassurance there that you can survive again.
Exactly.
So, what happens with people that almost all of us, unless we're really practiced at it, we always seem to think about the worst case scenario like it's going to be real versus the natural instinct to think about the best case scenario. Why do you think people do that?
Yeah, so there's one reason why we do that, and that's simply that we are practiced at it. From the moment we were born, and we had people modeling ways of being, they were modeling how to do life. That was modeled for us. Fear the unknown, scramble for control, judge, and don't trust. That was what was modeled for us, and that was how our brain became wired, and our nervous system. And I want to make a distinction there between our brain and our nervous system, because you know how sometimes you can have book knowledge. You can someone will say, I know this is going to work out, and you actually even know it will work out, but at the same time, your nervous system is going crazy, and you feel adrenaline, you feel fear, you feel all those chemicals rushing through you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's because just what we know is not enough. We've got to rewire how the nervous system is operating in our life as well.
Yeah, it's funny. They say, I've heard this or read this somewhere, where we operate at a genius level until we're about 4 years old. And mainly that is we have very little fear between the time we're born and the time we're 4 years old. It's actually a learned behavior.
Yeah, totally a learned behavior.
Stranger danger, right? I mean, all of a sudden something new is bad, and stay in the box, color in the lines. I was that kid that was coloring everywhere but in the lines. And so sometimes it's funny, because I was just having a conversation this morning, and I said, I have to remember that when I'm judging one of my agents for saying something, that I really maybe don't know, I 99% of the time don't know what they went through growing up. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they look at something. And so for me, growing up in a small town, 22 kids in my senior class, played 3 sports because of that, played college, did this, did that, had supportive parents, that spent a lot of time with me. I was very blessed. And so I have a different opinion on some of the things that maybe other people don't have naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an opinion of the way I act that is very contrary to the way they were raised, and therefore they easily will judge my mistakes as life-altering events that they would never, if I fail, which I fail every day practically. I mean, my mission is to fail. And And I just always say, for me personally, I get upset when I achieve my goals because I then realize I didn't set them high enough.
Yeah.
So it's funny when we're thinking about this judgment, which I think kind of lends itself to one of the topics that I know you like, and I'd like to really dive in the next segment, and that is the difference between values and standards. Not just for us, but how we should look at other people and respect their values and standards, and the differences that they may be facing that are just unique to them and have nothing really to do with us.
Yeah.
We got about a minute left in this segment, so what would you set up with values and standards?
Yeah, so let's dive into that in the next segment, because I think this is going to be a very surprising discussion for a lot of people, and a lot of people may object and accuse me of terrible things, but stick with me in this conversation because I think it's going to be an eye opener. And the last thing I want to say, Russ, is that around the judgment thing, it's a great thing just that if we can all remember that everyone is doing the best with the tools that they have, given all their past experience.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad used to say, "You'll never have arrows in your ass if you're not in the lead." So it's okay if somebody doesn't like what you're going to say. Being authentic is part of the program that we need to all try to achieve, and live a little bit less with artificial hypotheticals, and live a little bit more with truth. And all right, we'll be right back in a few seconds with Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Fletcher Ellingson. Talk to you soon.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home, home sweet home, your home sweet home.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan, operating partner and designated broker of Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I'm excited to say we are growing at an unprecedented rate. We're almost 70 real estate brokers and popping about 3 deals a day in some cases. It's really pretty fun. And the reason I wanted to do an ad today was about our people. The culture of Keller Williams is really simple this. We believe in an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. What does that mean? Well, although we're competitive, we all go out and try to get some similar listings. And with almost 70 people, you might think that that's a problem. But in reality, with an abundant mindset, we know that for us to win, you don't have to lose. With our creative marketing that is unbelievable, with our operating system Command, we're reaching literally hundreds of thousands of people instantly. So if you're interested in selling or buying with one of our agents, trust me, you won't be disappointed. Give us a call at our office, 509-888-0038, or email me direct at russ@frontlinechelan.com. Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. I want to talk to you about something. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel the financial pressures of the COVID virus? That was fun, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, real estate can be a game changer for you, and I'm here to help you. If you want to give me a call at 509-888-0038, I want to talk about your life and getting unstuck. We are growing rapidly. We're the fastest growing real estate company in all of North Central Washington. Give us a call. I want to help you. 509-888-0038.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Fletcher Ellingson. I'm having a great time. I always have a great time talking to Fletcher because no matter what he says, my brain goes, listen, because you're going to learn something. And that's the key, right? Listening. Maybe talk less, listen more, right? What is that? You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yep.
So let's talk about what is the difference between values versus standards?
All right. Let's get into this. This is a good talk. So before we answer that question, let's talk about, let's make a quick list of what are some values that you have, Russ, and that other people have. What are some values?
Treat people like you want to be treated.
All right. So respect. We value respect, right?
Yep.
We value, what else? Family time.
Courage. I value. I'm grateful. I think sometimes your values, and I look at it like being grateful for these things that I like. But I think this is important because I think part of this question is, do you really even ask yourself what values are? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Are those values?
Are you
Yeah. So honesty is a value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honesty.
Not that I've always been
Um,
honest. I mean, I remember it's one of those things that you have the values, but are you always acting on them, right? Because I've made a lot of mistakes.
so that's what we're going to get to. But we got all these values: work ethic. We value time. We value financial freedom. We value freedom. We value vacation time. We value being on time. We value being your word. We value collaboration, creativity. There's a lot of things we value, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to say is this: all those values that we just talked about, all those values we just listed, and there's more. But what I want people to realize is these are the exact same values that the mafia has. The mob has the exact same values that I have. Do they value family? Absolutely. Do they value creativity? Absolutely. Do they value being on time? Yes. Do they value honesty? They sure do. Honesty amongst them, right? You see, we all have the exact same values. There are very few values that we don't share. So so people you will hear people frequently say, "I want to meet somebody that has the same values as me." Well, great. Now that is about everybody in the world. So you're going to have a good opportunity to really connect with somebody. And what people don't realize is that values, and here's where we get to what a value is. A value is just an indicator of a preference. A value is an indicator of a preference. I prefer honesty. I prefer family time. I prefer financial freedom. However, now we get to standards. And now the conversation gets interesting because the standards are what breathe life into the values. Because a lot of people say they value health and fitness, right?
Right.
And the same people saying that are also, you'll find people saying that who are also, not in a place of good health and fitness. They may be overeating, they may be smoking, they may be drinking too much, they may be taking too many drugs, whatever. Nothing, by the way, no judgment about that. But there's just this conflict between, I say I value health and fitness, but my lifestyle doesn't support the value. It's not in alignment with it. And so the standard then becomes the metric, if you will, of how if I'm living into that value.
Right. You all
Does that
know,
make sense?
yeah. So people that if they gain 2 pounds, their standards it's unacceptable. They go lose it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And so their standards are just that way. Some people are like that with money, where they just gotta have it no matter what. I'm not going to spend. I'm just tight. I'm not going to do that. Never going to risk it. I'm not going to do that. And there's other people that go, let's go take the paycheck to the casino. I'm going to win. Right? There's a completely different level of standards.
Right. And on all of those people value having money. They value financial freedom, but their actions really illustrate their standard. And a standard is what we're willing to settle for. So I might value health and fitness, but I'm willing to settle for a sedentary lifestyle, and I have which causes health problems, and I don't have any actual health to speak of. So the standard is what we're willing to settle for.
Well, how do you determine? Well, first of all, is it true that since my standards are a certain way, that then I'll judge your standards as being the wrong way?
Yeah. So frequently people will judge. We're quick to judge, right? And really, when we judge, the thing that it's highlighting is just our lack of compassion or understanding or kindness or insight. So it's usually a reflection of something that's missing in ourselves or something we're deficient in. So that's always good to, like, when we find ourselves judging, really turn it back and ask, oh, what am I missing here? Oh, I'm missing understanding. I don't actually know what's going on for that person.
Yeah, I see it in real estate a lot, where you'll kind of run into the bully mentality. And what I always teach and coach our brokers in our firm is, when you run across an agent on a deal
that's on the other side of the transaction, and they're incredibly rude or aggressive. It's a kind of a bully mentality. And I said, well, often remember this, that the bully, whether it's on the schoolyard, playground, or in a business transaction, is often very insecure, and they're simply projecting, kind of overcompensating for that insecurity through an offense versus just being authentic. And they're actually pretty
Right.
scared, right? So it's funny how we might think, well, man, that person was a jerk. But if you reframe it in your mind and you're like, well, that person's actually going through maybe some challenges that I'm not aware of. And is that where your compassion comes in when you start to think about judgment?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we are always remembering people are doing the best they can with the tools that they have, that bully is doing the best they can with the tools they have. That bullying people may be the thing that has actually served them well in their life, but it also is the thing that hinders them. But for us, when we find ourselves judging them, that's that's got to be the trigger for us to be like, oh, I'm judging him. Now this is an opportunity for me to surrender my judgment, because my judging that person actually is a hindrance to me. It's keeping me out of flow and creativity. So I'm going to surrender that thing which doesn't serve me. And then as soon as I surrender it, now there's space for something else to be there. And that's compassion. That is creativity. That's flow. That's being in the zone, right? There's something now available to me that wasn't before because judgment was in the way.
Yeah, I had a situation that I called you on the other day. So I have almost 80 real estate brokers. That's a lot of emotional creatures in a pretty high stress environments. It's a kind of a dog eat dog, low inventory, lots of offers, competing offers. It's high stress. It can be, right? So I'm generally speaking, it takes quite a bit to get me fired up. But the other day, I was with a real estate agent talking to me from the west side of the mountains, and I felt that person was directly and aggressively insulting my client, who is also my friend, who has gone through a very, very tough personal situation. And so when that agent insulted my friend, I know that I shouldn't do this, but I went like, dude, if you want to be unprofessional, I'm pretty good at it. So I'm happy to engage with you. And I just got a little hot, right? And I kind of like shut that door aggressively, like I was, an 18-year-old again, right? And so I called you, and I think it was funny because I got off the phone and I was like, man, what in the heck just happened to me? My adrenaline spiked, my bald head turned like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer color. I was fired up. I was ready to go behind the woodshed with that guy. And it all happened instinctually. And I was just sitting there kind of dumbfounded about, have I not learned anything in 30 years? So what the heck happened to me?
Yeah, so that was that difference we were just talking about a few minutes ago. Like, right, sometimes we know intellectually what to do, how it should happen, how it should go down, but our nervous system is also practiced at a way of operating. And so sometimes we're going to get triggered and our nervous system goes off because it's practiced at that. When A and B are in play, the nervous system says, hey, this is how we react. And on that call, A and B, or 1, 2, 3, whatever it was in play for you. It activated your nervous system. And that then can affect what we say, how we think, and the actions that we take. And so you got off that call and you were like, what the heck just happened? Have I not learned anything? Right? So that was the experience. The fact is, you have learned a lot. You've made massive progress. And it was evidenced by the very fact that you were aware of just how you had responded, and that how you were responded was not in alignment with your values, right? So you could feel that conflict. You felt that, and then you called me and explained it, right? And we were just like, oh yeah. So there was you just weren't in alignment, right? And this was a perfect opportunity to practice. And then you got off the phone with me, and then you said you called him and made good and cleaned it all up and had a powerful experience, right?
Yeah, the deal closed.
Yeah, the deal closed.
So the guy he insulted got paid full price. That's all I know for sure. And that probably wouldn't happen if I wouldn't have eaten a little crow and got real humble real quick. So hey, when we come back in this
Yeah.
last segment, I want to focus on, it's easy to say where we're at and that we want to change it. But one of the things that's important, I think, is that it's not your fault where you're at. I think sometimes we beat ourselves up too much. So if you don't mind, let's talk about that and see where we go in the next segment. Be right back.
Absolutely.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home sweet home, home sweet home.
Hey, this is Russ, McClellan, operating partner and designated broker of Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I'm excited to say we are growing at an unprecedented rate. We're almost 70 real estate brokers and popping about 3 deals a day in some cases. It's really pretty fun. And the reason I wanted to do an ad today was about our people. The culture of Keller Williams is really simple this. We believe in an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. What does that mean? Well, although we're competitive, we all go out and try to get some similar listings. And with almost 70 people, you might think that that's a problem. But in reality, with an abundant mindset, we know that for us to win, you don't have to lose. With our creative marketing that is unbelievable, with our operating system Command, we're reaching literally hundreds of thousands of people instantly. So if you're interested in selling or buying with one of our agents, trust me, you won't be disappointed. Give us a call at our office, 509-888-0038, or email me direct at russ@frontlinechelan.com. Hi, this is Russ McClellan, designated broker and operating partner of Keller Williams Realty NCW. We have almost 70 agents and growing rapidly. We're almost a legit company now with over 2.5 years experience. The good news is this: if you're thinking about changing your life, my goal and my mission to you is to help you transform the life that you deserve and that you want, using real estate as the vehicle to do that. What does that mean? Well, it means whatever you want it to mean. If you want to work part-time, I'll show you how to do it. If you want to work full-time, I'll show you how to do it. And I'm also willing to show and demonstrate our commitment to you and our conviction to our company and transparency by giving you any of the numbers of any of the 70 people that work at Keller Williams. We're a family, we care about each other, and we care about you. So if you want to change your life, you want to get into real estate and have some fun, let's get together and talk. 509-888-0038. Give me a call anytime. You can also call my cell phone at 509-470-2416.
You're tuned to Russ McClellan and Friends on the Real Estate Show Home Sweet Home. Let's get back to Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Fletcher Ellingson, the art of feeling good master. Fletcher's coached with me for about 8 months, and we're talking about going from stuck to unstuck. Fletcher, we're talking about values and standards. And okay, let's just pretend that someone's listening to us right now, which hopefully there's a couple of them, and they are like going, yeah, it's really pretty easy for me to tell that I'm broke. It's really pretty easy for me to tell. I'm honest with myself. I drink too much. I'm doing too many drugs. I'm yelling at my family. I'm not spending enough time with my kids. I'm a workaholic. Okay, that's great. You guys are all holier now, thinking that you're all that in a bag of chips. Well, I know the problems, right? Whatever. And then they think to themselves often, I'm just a failure. I'm just a loser. So back to the bar they go, or back to that repeating, cycle they go of yelling and screaming. And so where do we start? I mean, where does someone that recognizes, even if it's a split second, right this minute, that they have issues and they want to change them? That's real easy to be a dreamer. The world's full of dreamers. They're in abundance. How about the doers? How do we start?
Yeah. So great question. So first of all, for those people who are finding themselves stuck and repeating these patterns over and over, and they frequently get to a place where, like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm acting this way. I don't know why I can't make progress. To those people, I want to say this: it is not your fault, and I really want people to get that. It is not your fault, because you are simply a composite of what you focus on. You are simply a composite of what you focus on consistently, and many of us focus on that which does not serve us. And many of us have our belief systems that were decided for us. We had zero say in it. So what I want you to hear is that it's not your fault, but it is 100% your responsibility. And let me just make a comparison. Let's say you buy a car and you're driving down the road 6 months later, and the engine falls out or whatever, it blows up or it just conks out, and now you got to pull over on the side of the road. That's not your fault. You paid good money for that car. It was supposed to be a brand new car, and now it's not running. It's not your fault because you don't even know anything about an engine. You didn't do anything to mess it up. However, it is your responsibility. Now it's your responsibility to navigate it to the side of the road, get it towed, or call AAA or whatever. And then it's your responsibility to pay for the repairs or go and take care of the warranty. So first of all, are you with me on that, Russ?
Yeah, and I think what often happens is we tend to focus on this destination and not the journey. And
Yeah.
and like I might tell somebody in my mind after 30 years of working in the real estate business that's brand new to the real estate business, hey, I want you to call for sale by owners and expired listings and cold call for 3 hours a day. It's you can do anything for 3 hours a day, and I'll make it sound so easy. And in my mind, it is easy, right? And what they hear is like I equate it to like if somebody had not worked out in the last 15 years, and I just asked them to do 3 hours of lead generating in a day. That's like saying go run a marathon to them.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
but I'm acting like I'm a marathon runner, aren't you? Isn't everybody me? And
Yep.
I think this focusing on the being and first forgiving yourself, and then secondly, we're not called human doing, right? I don't remember who said that, maybe John Maxwell or something. We're called human beings. So be present and focus on the journey, not the destination. What is that? What is all that about, and why does our brain do that?
Yeah. So we are in a model of always trying to fix and solve things. So that's how we frequently, that's the filter through which we see life. We see it as broken, and we're always trying to fit or solve, right? And that puts us in a very reactive mode. It puts us that we're reacting to something that we see that has already happened, and now we have to go make it better, instead of being present and creating. And from that point of view, you're not reactive, you're proactive, and you're actually being present and creating. It's a big difference.
Yeah, you're kind of go ahead.
And to one of your earlier questions, like how do we begin to what question can we ask? How do we change this? Well, the question we can ask is what's happening right now? That's a great place to start. What's happening right now? Because we frequently get caught up in the fear of the future and I have to go fix or solve that. Oh no, hold on. Just what's happening right now? What's going on actually in this very moment? Oh, I'm sitting in the chair. I'm talking to Russ, so that the world's not burning down. I'm actually just sitting here having a conversation.
Yeah, I was listening to a pretty amazing guy. His name's Cody Gibson. He's a Keller Williams brokerage owner and expansion. He's a very successful person, and actually didn't go to school after the 9th grade. Doing very, very well now. But he says 0 to 100 is crap. He said 0 to 10 works. 10 to 20 works, but 0 to 100 is crap. It never happens. You can't focus on, I'm going to go run a marathon, or I'm going to focus on 3 hours of lead gen, or I'm going to focus on, just going cold turkey on whatever, right? It's a process, and then give yourself some permission to be rewarded for walking to the mailbox and back if you haven't walked at all. And celebrate that. I think so often we are in that proverbial fight or flight mode. Like you said, we're constantly trying to achieve, constantly trying to drive a nicer car, do this, do that, make more money. And it's funny to me that time is the one thing that it's kind of like the scarce resource, right? We're all dying from the day we're born. So, maybe spending less time thinking about the hypothetical future and more time being grateful for what you are. And that's where affirmations and gratitude journaling, I mean, it sounds hocus pocus, but it actually works, don't you think?
I'm a huge believer in it. Yeah, that's how we begin to reprogram our mind and our nervous system by getting out of our head, by having a conversation like this, like speaking it into the physical space, like writing it down in a journal, like getting it out of what I call crazy town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting the voices out of your head, kind of, if you can unscrew your head and kind of shake out the contents, and really it allows you to sort through things differently. And you can say, oh, hold on a second, that's not accurate, or that doesn't feel good, that's not serving me. What do I actually want to believe about that? It allows a process of reevaluation, because when I can reevaluate something, I can come to a different conclusion, which then is going to set me up for having a different belief about something. And our beliefs, as you know, are such powerful drivers, and our actions, that's a huge process to go, a valuable process to go through, is reevaluating.
Yeah, one of the things that is a fair statement of every person in real estate, they are not allergic to money, right? I'm not
Right.
allergic to money. Nobody is. It's a helpful tool. But what's interesting that I've noticed is when you connect what quote unquote, your big why, really what that means to me is that you're creating something, a different narrative around the same thing. If you think that my goal is to make $100,000 a year, right? Okay, break that down by the month, by the week. Okay, that's my goal this week. And money alone, what I've found, isn't necessarily emotional enough. In other words, it is for some. There are some people that money is the end all of everything. But you know what I found works better in redefining that narrative, which has the end result of making more money, is helping people achieve their dreams by buying a house.
Absolutely.
How many people are you going to help this month? And when you focus on that, then when you don't feel like doing the work, you'd rather go, do something else, you'll think, well, then that's a family that isn't going to get my help this month. And to me, that has a more connecting, it's more inspiring. So is that tricking our brain? What does that mean?
Yeah, we're talking about mind hacks right now, right? And that's it's bringing a powerful story to your life, to your career, to your marriage. Bring a powerful story instead of I list and sell homes. No, I connect people with dreams. I set people up for financial security. I help people build wealth, right? These types of things. I am helping people create stability in their lives. That's huge. When you are helping others, that feels so good. It's like one of those 6 human needs is the need to contribute. Well, when we're connecting people with their dreams, helping them make progress in their life, helping them provide for their families in a feel good way, that feels really good, and that's going to make me more inclined to pick up the phone and have those and risk rejection. So really good example.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, your brain doesn't care when you're speaking the words out loud, whatever they are. I'm a failure, I'm a success. Your brain doesn't care if it's true or not. You taught me this. Your brain doesn't know the difference between fact and fiction. All it knows is it's going to go find that evidence to prove whatever you say to yourself, right?
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
that was a big, for people that didn't know that, you're in charge of your brain, not the other way around. Your brain left to its own devices is a flat-out troublemaker, drama queen. So we have to start focusing a little bit on the brain. Anyway, man, this has been great. I hope we've helped some people, and they can get a hold of you because you are one amazing dude and can literally help change someone's life, whether it's a marriage or whether it's a business or a relationship with your kid. Give Fletcher a call at 679-0927. That's 679-0927, or go to thepracticeoffeelinggood.com. Thanks a lot. As always, my friend, my pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks a lot, Russ.
All right, take care.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan, operating partner and designated broker of Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I'm excited to say we are growing at an unprecedented rate. We're almost 70 real estate brokers and popping about 3 deals a day in some cases. It's really pretty fun. And the reason I wanted to do an ad today was about our people. The culture of Keller Williams is really simple this. We believe in an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. What does that mean? Well, although we're competitive, we all go out and try to get some similar listings. And with almost 70 people, you might think that that's a problem. But in reality, with an abundant mindset, we know that for us to win, you don't have to lose. With our creative marketing that is unbelievable, with our operating system Command, we're reaching literally hundreds of thousands of people instantly. So if you're interested in selling or buying with one of our agents, trust me, you won't be disappointed. Give us a call at our office, 509-888-0038, or email me direct at russ@frontlinechelan.com. Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. I want to talk to you about something. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel the financial pressures of the COVID virus? That was fun, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, real estate can be a game changer for you, and I'm here to help you. If you want to give me a call at 509-888-0038, I want to talk about your life and getting unstuck. We are growing rapidly. We're the fastest growing real estate company in all of North Central Washington. Give us a call. I want to help you. 509-888-0038.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. How's everybody doing? July. Here we go. Michael Maher, got you on the line. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, just enjoying this heat, soaking it up.
Yeah, isn't it funny about living in Central Washington? 4 seasons, just kind of like, bang, it's cold, bang, it's hot. But, I kind of like it. You get this heat, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, then we start to cool off, right? But coming out of COVID has been something else. It's nice to be able to get out and see your friends and family, give each other a hug, high five, play some touch football, do whatever you got to do to not be in the land of COVID. Let's get out of that land.
Right.
And with that being said, in the post land of COVID virus, the lockdown of 2020 and 2021, what in the heck is going on with these forbearances and so on and so forth? Everybody has a different theory. Do you have any idea what's going on?
Yeah, so there's a lot of information out there, and I think the most important thing that people need to realize before we get into any specifics is just reach out to your servicer. Reach out to whoever you're making your payment to and discuss the options, because typically when COVID first started back in 2020, most people were given about a 15-month grace period. And as we were rolling into late mid 2021, those grace periods for forbearance are starting to come to an end. And for those that have gone that entire time without making a payment and don't have a plan in action to either start making those payments, or maybe they need to figure out if they need to sell and regroup. And it's just important to note that as things get back to normal, the vaccine has been rolled out, so on and so forth. The mask mandates are starting to really come into effect as far as being a lot more lenient and not necessarily requiring people to do that. And as these things continue to normalize and people, go back to the way things were, it's just important to note that you have these forbearances and that you're able to make sure you're not exiting them without a plan, because there's really no need in this market, as hot as it is as being a seller's market, to go into foreclosure if that's the case. And I hate to say it, but you're better off selling the home and renting something than having a foreclosure on your record that sticks with you for years to come, versus getting ahead of it, reaching out to one of the agents at Keller Williams North Central, and figuring out what your options are in order to avoid something that stays with you for a long time.
And here's my advice. Don't listen to people that aren't in the business. And even if you're listening to people in the real estate business, don't always take it as gospel. It's good to get a second and a third opinion. I can give you a couple of quick examples, Mike. There was a guy that didn't want to pay a commission in Chelan a few months ago. So he thought he'd save the 6-7%, listed 2 lots himself. An investor bought it off of Craigslist. The next day after he closed on the 2 lots, he hired a realtor in Chelan, made $100,000 profit in one day. So when you think like I could think I know how to fix a compound fracture of my ankle, And I'd probably be guessing because I'm not a doctor. Sometimes we forget that real estate is a profession that does require some skill sets, especially when you're in a market like this. Another example I found out about not that long ago, a home sold for $850,000 a little over a year ago. Guess what it sold for recently? $1.8 million. Went up $1 million in 1 year. Now they did some upgrades, but nothing extravagant. So my point is this, to your point, when you're in a situation, get some professional help. Call one of our agents from Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington, and let us help you navigate these waters a little bit, because we can work together, whether it's through Michael and a refinance or whether we need to sell your home and, like you said, get out from underneath that forbearance problem and start over. That's better than getting a foreclosure, correct?
You got it.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, these are unusual situations. And when unusual situations occur, you need to get as much advice as you can. And don't just listen to one banker or one realtor. You always got to do your homework, and don't wait till it's too late where you're now reacting. Get on that right now and call Michael with Primelending and get strategic. And so you really understand where your options are.
Exactly. And on that note about getting strategic, I think another thing that a lot of people are having to deal with right now is bidding above and beyond what a home is listed for. And one of the creative ways we do this is through different options and different down payment requirements for different programs. We have programs as little as 0% down if somebody needs that kind of help. But typically we do have some conventional options as low as 3% down. And what that can do is really utilize a strategy to, maybe if someone wants to use an escalation clause or a 22 AD where they're willing to pay a little bit more than potentially the appraised value might be, obviously subject to what the appraisal comes in at. But you can utilize these lower down payment options to possibly bump up a 22 AD and still win and still maintain the necessary down payment needed, but maybe use that bucket of money that you have a little differently and a little more strategically, rather than turning around and putting it all towards a down payment and somebody else comes in and swoops it out from under you because they were able to utilize their bucket of money a little more strategically.
Yeah, and the 22 AD is when you buy down an appraisal. So the market's moving so fast that appraisers aren't keeping up. They're historians, and often when you're appraising monthly, not annually, like this market, you often will bid a home up above what it appraises for because the history hasn't quite caught up yet. And the appraisers for the lenders need to be able to find at least 3 comparable sales that justify the value. Now, buying down the appraisal is simple. If the home sold for $400,000 and it appraised for $390,000, well, somebody's got to make up that $10,000 difference. And so buyers are strategically putting that addendum and saying, hey, if it comes in low, I'll pay up to $10,000 against the appraisal to help them get a better opportunity to get a deal mutually accepted, because the sellers are frankly worried that they're going to get 30 days down the road and this deal is going to flip because of the appraisal. So that is becoming a strategic move when you have multiple bidding wars happening simultaneously. It's a great point. And how you use the same amount of money matters, whether you're asking sellers to pay closing costs, whether you're using a down payment assistance program, or whether you're holding back some of your cash and going with a lower loan to value on your loan itself. Like, it just needs to be thought about in this crazy market. And that's where we split hairs a little bit in the real estate industry for a reason. And you're getting somebody that really understands that and can work together. I mean, one of the things you guys do at Primelending, Michael, you and Sharon both, you're willing to talk to people during the escrow. You're willing to talk to people before they get to mutual acceptance on how to structure their situation. And you're open with communication with the broker. And I find that very refreshing, because it's not always the case.
No, exactly. And we're willing to work with anybody, and no matter what situation they're in, whether they're on the verge of bankruptcy or need some credit help, or they just need to strategize on, they have X number of dollars to use and they need a house and they just need to know how that money is best utilized in their specific situation. So we sit down, it's free. My number, if you want it, it's 425-760-8824. You can call or text me anytime, and I can strategize with you and see where you guys are at if you need help or just need some guidance, no matter what the situation is.
As always, Mike, that's great information. I want to say one more thing about being creative and strategic. When you're looking at 3 or 4 bedroom houses, guess what's happening, especially in that $300,000 to $450,000 price range, which is very low in inventory. Everybody else is looking for 3 and 4 bedroom houses. We talk about it a lot, but I want to make sure people understand what the rehab or enhancement loan can do for you if you add a little creativity. And what I mean by that is if you go look at 1 or 2 bedroom homes, maybe a 3 bedroom with a 1 bath, and you had it all etched in stone that you have to have 2 bathrooms, so you're only going to look for 3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms. So explain to people what the enhancement loan can do in our last couple minutes here for them and being creative.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, in layman's terms, it's basically just a loan that allows you to finance in any of the work that you want to be done to the home. So let's just take if you're buying a home for $100,000 and you want to put $10,000 worth of work in, then it allows you to stack that $10,000 into the 100 for a total of 110. And that's your new loan amount, your new purchase price, quote unquote. And what it really allows you to do is get creative as far as doing repairs, updates to the home, adding a second, third, fourth bedroom, updating septic systems without having to fork over all that cash up front. And it allows you to maintain that so you don't have to turn around and, cash out a 401k or whatever it is and be creative in this market and see what nobody else sees.
Yeah, I mean, come in and buy a house for less money because not that many people are looking at a 2 bedroom, 1 bath house, right? Well, you can turn it into a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house as long as you qualify for the complete package, the as is value plus the construction loan. You roll it into one. Bada bing, you got a house that nobody even thought about. And I always say this, if you have the imagination, or who has the imagination will get the equity, right? So if you can see through things and not at them and work with somebody that has some creativity in the real estate game, like Michael and our agents at Keller Williams, you sometimes can actually, even in this market, close on a deal with equity in your pocket. And that's hard to do.
Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Michael. Another great show. I hope everybody enjoys the sun. Get out there. Hopefully you can take the mask off, stay healthy, have fun, get wet, come up to Lake Chelan. The water's cold. It'll help you cool off. Thanks for tuning in to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends.
It's a brand new day, just came my way. I bought a new home. Yeah, home, sweet home. Oh, home, sweet home. Keller Williams, I love my dream home. Yeah, I love my dream home. Home, sweet